Welcome back, my incredible treasure hunters and rare coin lovers. Today you have entered a world so extraordinary, so mysterious, and so electrifying that by the time you finish listening, you will never look at a simple dime the same way again. Because right now we are going deep into the unbelievable story of the Liberty 1999 United States dime. A coin so small and so ordinary that millions of people have touched one without even thinking twice, yet hidden behind the same date and mint mark lies a rare error-type possibility so unimaginable that collectors whisper about it like a legend, a coin so valuable in its rarest form that some estimate its worth could skyrocket into an earth-shaking $543 million, a number so outrageous that it shakes the mind, and yet when we dig into the layers of minting mistakes, planchet mysteries, die malfunctions, transitional misstrikes, mismatched metals and strange possibilities that surround this specific year and mint, every one of those details slowly begins to form a picture that explains how something this incredible could actually happen. And now, let us step deeply into this journey, a long unfolding story of hidden mint secrets, unexpected accidents, forgotten procedures and coin hunters' dreams that revolve around this tiny 1999 D dime. It all begins with a quiet morning in your own pocket, where maybe one day you reach in and pull out a handful of loose change. You might not even glance at the dime between your fingers. It feels light, smooth, chilly metal against your skin. You may toss it into a jar, spend it at a store, drop it between the car seats, never realizing that this single coin might carry a silent mystery that could change your life. And that is the magic of coin hunting, because the rarest treasures hide in plain sight, and the 1999 D dime is one of the most perfect examples of how something so simple can hide a world of astonishing detail beneath the surface. The year 1999 was chaotic inside the United States Mint. Production was at a high point because the economy was booming, circulation demand was massive, and the mint was running at full speed. The Denver mint machines were clattering endlessly. Metal blanks were being fed into presses with extreme pressure. Dies were wearing out faster than usual. Operators were juggling multiple responsibilities. New coinage was being planned. Old batches were being cleared. Experimental metals were being tested behind the scenes. And in this enormous rush, errors slipped through the cracks. Not ordinary errors, but strange, shocking, almost once-in-a-century types of errors that collectors spend entire lifetimes trying to find. Imagine the Denver Mint using different planchets for various denominations at the same time. Imagine leftover blanks from previous experimental runs sitting in bins near the operating presses. It only takes a single moment, a minor oversight, for a wrong planchet to slide into the dime press. Suddenly a dime is being struck on a metal composition that is lighter or heavier than the standard mix. Maybe it has a foreign alloy feel. Maybe it rings differently when tapped. Maybe under magnification the surface texture looks slightly granular or smoother than expected. A wrong planchet dime is extremely rare, and a 1999 D example would instantly gain legendary status. And now imagine something even more dramatic. Picture a dime struck on a transitional metal leftover from earlier testing or from another denomination being phased out. A transitional metal error is one of the rarest categories of all mint errors because it represents a moment in history where minting and metallurgy intersect by mistake. If a 1999 D dime somehow ended up on an experimental alloy, its value would become something so astronomical that collectors would practically fight for it at auction. And this is where those huge price fantasies begin, because one-of-a-kind errors can sell for life-changing amounts. Imagine next a dramatic double strike where the coin receives two hits from the die, each at a different rotation angle. The letters might look shadowed. Roosevelt's portrait might appear duplicated. The torch on the reverse may look as if it vibrates. A double strike with a rotation is not common for modern dimes because minting technology is designed to prevent such mistakes, so an authentic example would push collectors into a frenzy. Then imagine the dime being struck off-center. Not just a small shift, but a massive off-center strike where half of the design is missing from one side while the other half remains beautifully visible. Off-center errors already attract collectors, but a dramatic off-center strike combined with a 1999 D mint mark and possibly other errors creates a rare mixture that skyrockets potential value. Now picture a broad strike where the collar fails completely, allowing the dime to spread out wider than normal. The rim collapses. The shape becomes unusual. The diameter grows. The coin suddenly looks like a medal rather than a dime. Broad strikes often produce uniquely shaped coins, and on a 1999 D dime, the oddity could become highly valuable. Consider partial collar errors too, where the coin has two different rim levels. You can feel it with your fingers. One side rises higher, the other slopes. Such a coin becomes instantly collectible. Then imagine a wrong metal thickness where the planchet came out slightly thinner or thicker due to manufacturing flaws. This would affect the weight and the sound the coin produces when dropped. These subtle details can be the foundation for extreme rarity. Now visualize clipped planchets. Maybe a corner of the dime is missing in a perfect curve because it was punched too close to the edge of a metal sheet. Maybe there are double clips where two opposite sections are missing. On a 1999 D dime, multi-clip errors would be jaw-dropping. Then imagine die cracks, raised lines running across the coin like tiny lightning bolts. Some die cracks can run across the portrait or through the date. Others can form shapes collectors interpret as special patterns. Die cracks fascinate error specialists because the cracks reveal pressure points inside the minting process. And now consider die breaks where a piece of the die itself breaks off, causing a blob of metal to appear on the coin. These are called cut errors. A cut error on a 1999 D dime could be incredibly rare if it covers a major part of the design. Now travel deeper into the minting chamber in your imagination. Picture the grease-filled die error. This is where grease or debris clogs the die, causing parts of the design to disappear. Maybe the Liberty word looks thin or incomplete. Maybe the date looks ghostly. Maybe the mint mark D appears faint. This kind of eerie appearance attracts collectors because the coin looks like it's fading into another dimension. Now imagine something truly wild, a double denomination error. This is where a dime is struck over the surface of another already struck coin, like a penny or a nickel. Imagine the faint design of a Lincoln cent beneath Roosevelt's portrait. Imagine the shadows of Jefferson's profile under the flame of the torch. These are once-in-a-generation mint mistakes. A 1999 D double denomination dime would be so rare that collectors might even joke about selling their cars to buy it. Now add in the possibility of a mule error, the holy grail of mint mistakes. Imagine a dime with the obverse of a dime but the reverse of another denomination entirely, like a quarter or a nickel. These errors almost never leave the mint. They are legendary, and their value can soar beyond imagination. These possibilities form the foundation of why collectors dream about the rarest forms of the 1999 D dime. Because inside one single year, in one single mint, in the rush of production and the whirlwind of heavy demand, tiny unpredictable accidents might have created coins that are so unique, so unrepeatable, so beyond normal classification that their value reaches into mythical territory. Now imagine someone finding this coin without knowing its power. Picture an ordinary person, maybe a teenager cleaning their drawer, maybe a parent searching through laundry, maybe a collector sorting through a jar of old coins. They pick up the dime. Something feels off. They tilt it under the light. They sense an unusual shine, maybe different from other dimes. They weigh it in their hand, and maybe it feels a fraction heavier. They might even ignore it at first, toss it aside, only to later realize they were holding a miracle. Now imagine an old man who spent years collecting coins from pocket change. Maybe he drops his jar, and dimes scatter everywhere. One rolls under the couch. He reaches for it, looks at the date, and sees 1999 D. He turns it. The mint mark looks unusual, almost doubled. He takes out his magnifier. His eyes widen. His breath freezes. He realizes this dime is not ordinary at all. Picture next a young student who buys a drink from a vending machine. The change drops down, and one dime catches their eye because the rim looks wider. They don't think much of it. They toss it in their backpack. Months later, they hear a story online about rare dimes. They dig through their things and rediscover that same odd-looking coin. They compare it to photos. Their heart starts racing. Imagine a family cleaning their attic. My amazing friends and rare coin family, Now you have stepped into one of the most thrilling journeys in the world of American coins, because right now we are about to explore the unbelievable story of a tiny dime that millions of people handle every single day without paying attention. Yet for those who truly understand minting mysteries and rare era treasures, this dime has the potential to shock the entire world of numismatics. Now we are opening the gates to the hidden universe of the Liberty 2005 U.S.A. dime, a simple 10-cent coin on the surface but wrapped in mind-blowing stories of mint mistakes, error possibilities, unrecorded accidents, die failures, planchet secrets, and mint mark mysteries that collectors whisper about with fascination. And at the heart of this story lies a rumor, a possibility so extraordinary that it feels almost unbelievable, that the rarest, most extreme error version of the 2005 Liberty dime could be worth up to $534 million, transforming a tiny piece of metal into a treasure of unimaginable value. And today, we dive deep into why collectors dream about this coin, why error hunters search passionately for it, why certain minting events from 2005 still remain unexplained, and how one single dime can fuel the wildest fantasies of treasure seekers around the world. Let us begin the long journey into the heart of this small coin, imagining the moment where an ordinary person reaches into their pocket, pulls out some change, and among the coins rests a 2005 dime. Most people would never look twice. It feels light, thin, metallic, nothing special. They might toss it on a table, drop it into a jar, leave it in a drawer, or use it to buy a small snack. But what if that particular dime carried secrets buried in its metal that no one expected, secrets created during a year of minting pressure, unexpected machine failures, rapid production demands, and bizarre combinations of errors that slipped through unnoticed? This is the magic behind the world of coin errors, where something so tiny can hide a world of astonishing stories and unimaginable value. The year 2005 at the Philadelphia Mint was intense. Machines operated at full capacity. The Mint was balancing multiple series of coins. New designs for other denominations were being experimented with, meaning workers were juggling different dies and different planchets. The speed of production increased dramatically, and whenever the Mint is under pressure, strange and unpredictable things can happen. Dies wear faster. Collars break. Metal blanks jam. Wrong planchets mix. Presses reset unexpectedly. Workers rush to keep up with production quotas. All of these little events can combine to create something truly rare, something almost impossible to repeat. And in the middle of this busy environment, the 2005 dime was being produced by the millions. Yet among those millions, collectors have always believed that a few rare pieces may carry errors so extreme, so unique, so unbelievable that they could reach the kind of value that people only dream about. Imagine the first possibility, the wrong planchet error. In a year where the Mint handled multiple coin types, imagine a blank intended for another denomination, or even for a foreign contract coin slipping into the dime press. Suddenly a dime is struck on a metal that feels different in your hand. Maybe it's heavier. Maybe it rings differently when dropped. Maybe the color is slightly off. A wrong planchet dime is incredibly rare. And if a 2005 dime was struck on an unexpected alloy, especially one used for foreign mints around that time, the rarity could skyrocket. Now imagine a transitional composition error. These are some of the most valuable errors in numismatic history because they represent changes in metal formulas that were not intended for public release. If a leftover experimental blank or a leftover alloy from earlier trials somehow made its way into the 2005 dime production line, this coin would become one of the rarest modern coins ever found, and collectors would line up for a chance to obtain it, pushing its value into unimaginable territory. Next, picture the possibility of major hub doubling. Not faint doubling. Not tiny machine doubling. But strong, explosive, visible doubling that makes the date look doubled, the mint mark look doubled, the letters appear shadowed, and the entire portrait ripple with extra outlines. Major doubling on newer coins is extremely rare, and if a 2005 dime carried powerful hub doubling across multiple design areas, the value could climb beyond anything you would expect from a modern coin. Now imagine an off-center strike. Not a small misalignment, but a massive shift where half the design is missing from one side. A dramatic off-center dime is already collectible. But combine that with an unexpected metal composition, a double design, or a mint mark anomaly, and suddenly the dime jumps from being interesting to being priceless. Then think about broad strikes, where the collar fails and the dime expands sideways. These errors produce coins that look stretched, wider than normal, with unusual rims. On a 2005p dime, broad strikes can become extremely valuable when combined with other error types, especially when the central design remains clear. Now imagine double strikes where the coin receives two impressions, each at a different angle, creating overlapping images. Double strikes with rotation are exceptionally rare and highly desired. On a modern dime, a dramatic double strike would be a dream find in any collector's life. Picture the grease-filled die error, where parts of the design vanish because grease blocks the die during striking. Maybe the Liberty word appears incomplete, or the flames on the torch disappear. Maybe parts of Roosevelt's face fade like a ghost. These eerie-looking coins are fascinating, and certain extreme examples can draw strong collector interest. Then imagine the possibility of a die break, what collectors call a cud. This is where a chunk of the die breaks off, causing a large blob of metal to appear on the coin. On a 2005p dime, a major cud would be incredibly rare and instantly valuable. Think about die cracks too, thin raised lines snaking across the design, sometimes branching out like lightning. Some die cracks create dramatic patterns that collectors nickname lightning bolts, spider webs, rivers, or branches. A major die crack on the 2005p dime could attract serious attention, especially if combined with other abnormalities. Now consider clipped planchets. Maybe a section of the dime is missing because the blank was cut too close to the sheet's edge. Or maybe two opposite sections are clipped. These errors instantly stand out. And if a 2005p dime had a double clip along with an unusual strike error, it could become one of the rarest dime errors ever recorded. Then imagine a double denomination error, where a dime is struck over an already struck coin of another denomination. Imagine a faint Lincoln memorial behind Roosevelt's portrait. Imagine the outline of Jefferson beneath the torch. These surreal-looking coins are numismatic masterpieces, and a 2005p double denomination dime would be extraordinarily rare. And then comes the king of impossible errors, mule strikes. This is when the obverse die of one coin is accidentally paired with the reverse die of another. A dime obverse with a quarter reverse or a dime obverse with a penny reverse would be so strange that it would instantly become one of the most valuable modern coins ever discovered. Mule errors are extremely rare because modern minting systems are designed to prevent these combinations, but history has shown that mistakes do happen in ways no one expected. Now think about mint mark anomalies. The Philadelphia Mint uses the P mint mark, and even though modern mint marks are machine-applied and not hand-punched like old coins, there are still rare cases of mint mark distortions, weak punches, tilted punches, or strange resurfacing that can create unusual appearances. A mint mark doubled through hub doubling or shifted due to die deterioration could create a rare variety that collectors would fight for. Combine any 2 or 3 or 4 of these error types together in a single dime, and the rarity multiplies beyond imagination. Combine 5 or 6 and it becomes something historic. Combine 7 or more and it becomes an error so unique that no one could put a real price on it. This is how fantasies of values reaching $534 million begin. Because when you consider the one-of-a-kind nature of extreme mint errors and the intense competition among elite collectors, the right coin can achieve legendary status. Now imagine someone finding such a dime without realizing its value. Imagine a teenager sorting through pocket change and spotting a weird-looking 2005p dime, thinking nothing of it. Imagine someone finding it in a parking lot, picking it up and tossing it into their pocket. Imagine an elderly man cleaning his desk and tossing the dime into a jar without noticing the strange shape or doubling. These small moments are how enormous discoveries hide in ordinary life. Picture a collector sorting through thousands of dimes late at night under a single lamp. They flip another dime, then another, then another. Hours pass. Eyes grow tired. My dear coin lovers, now you are about to enter a world where a simple everyday coin suddenly becomes a source of mystery, excitement, history, and unimaginable value. And I know you clicked on this video because you saw the shocking number attached to a coin most people overlook without hesitation, the 2012 Roosevelt Dime, a coin worth just 10 cents by face value, yet in rare, extraordinary circumstances connected with minting errors, die problems, planchet malfunctions, and highly unusual production anomalies. It is believed by collectors to have possibilities that reach a mind-shaking, dreamlike value of $529 million, and now I am going to take you on a journey that will unwrap every angle of this unbelievable transformation from an ordinary dime to a coin that could become the center of endless speculation and excitement in the world of rare numismatics. So welcome and sit comfortably, because this journey will stretch across history, across metal science, across minting techniques, across era possibilities, and most importantly, across the imagination and passion of every collector who ever dreamed of discovering the impossible inside their pocket change. And from this moment forward, you will never look at a 2012 dime the same way again. It all begins with the year 2012, a year that in the world of modern United States coinage may seem ordinary, with billions of coins produced, a year where the Denver Mint operated at full speed, creating everyday pieces that Americans used for vending machines, for parking meters, for grocery store checkout counters, and for every simple transaction that kept daily life moving. And among all those billions of coins was the Roosevelt Dime, a coin that carries the portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the powerful symbol of American leadership through war and struggle, and on the reverse the flaming torch flanked by olive and oak branches, representing peace and strength. And yet beneath this familiar design lies a world of microscopic complexities, where a tiny shift in temperature, a slightly misaligned die, a weakened strike, a faulty planchet, a worn collar, or a damaged hub can transform a perfectly ordinary coin into a once-in-a-generation anomaly. And that is exactly where the fascinating story of the 2012 dime begins, because every valuable error has an origin, and every impossible value has roots in the minting process that rarely reveals its secrets. To understand why a 2012 dime could possibly reach a value so colossal that it challenges imagination, you must first imagine the environment inside the Denver Mint, where machines thunder, continuously stamping thousands of coins per minute under intense pressure, each blank planchet positioned with mechanical precision. And yet, even with the power of computer-controlled systems, even with layers of quality control, even with advanced production technologies, no mint in the world has ever been able to eliminate errors entirely. And when errors occur in extremely rare combinations, something extraordinary takes shape, something that collectors chase for decades, something that auction houses fight over, something that becomes so rare its value enters realms no one ever expected. And that is how the legend of the 2012 dime, with anomalies reaching astronomical value, was born, through stories circulated among collectors suggesting that certain pieces might have left the mint with multiple overlapping errors that would make them the rarest known dimes in modern U.S. history. And that is where our deep exploration begins. Imagine the first type of error, the possibility of a double die obverse created when the hub and die do not align perfectly during the creation process, producing doubled lettering, doubled numbers, or doubled portrait lines. And if this doubling happened dramatically on the date, the 2012 mark, or the Liberty inscription, this alone would create a coin worth thousands. But if this doubling were compounded with a secondary anomaly, the value would skyrocket. And now picture another layer, the mint mark itself, the small, powerful letter D representing the Denver Mint. Imagine if the mint mark was punched incorrectly. Imagine if it shifted ever so slightly during striking. Imagine if it appeared repunched, creating the appearance of two stacked or slightly side-by-side D markings, something highly sought after in older coins and incredibly rare in modern years, because mint marks since the 1990s have been applied by machine, not by hand, meaning any anomaly in the mint mark immediately signals a mechanical malfunction, and mechanical malfunctions in modern mint marks are almost unheard of, so when they do occur, collectors go into frenzy. But this is only the beginning. Now imagine combining a double die with a repunched or distorted mint mark, and now add yet another possibility, the dramatic broad strike error, where the coin is struck outside of its retaining collar, causing it to spread wider, thinner, and lighter in shape. This error alone can turn heads, but combined with the previous anomalies, the rarity multiplies. And then you add the possibility of an off-center strike, where the design is shifted left or right, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin. Collectors adore these coins, some slightly off, some drastically off, and the more dramatic the shift, the more valuable the dime becomes. And if a 2012 D dime escaped the mint with an off-center strike combined with doubling combined with a repunched mint mark, that coin would not only be rare, it would be unique, and uniqueness is the primary cause behind astronomical auction values, and collectors do not hesitate to throw staggering amounts of money at coins that exist in only one known specimen. But our journey does not stop there, because the 2012 D dime brings even more possibilities, such as the legendary and extremely rare mule error, something that occurs when two dies that were never meant to be paired are accidentally combined, producing a coin that features mismatched obverse and reverse designs. And while the U.S. Mint guards heavily against such events, a single slip can produce a coin worth tens of millions. In the past, mules have broken auction records, shocking the entire numismatic community. So imagine the madness if a Roosevelt dime obverse was accidentally paired with a quarter reverse, or a different denomination reverse entirely. Such a coin would not only dominate headlines, it would shatter expectations. And if such a coin emerged from the Denver Mint in 2012, the value would become so high even billion-level speculation would begin. And that is how the rumors about the unimaginable $529 million potential began, because when you combine the rarity of a mule with the rarity of modern errors and the extraordinary attraction of unique coins, the world of collectors knows no financial boundaries, and bidding wars can spiral into territories that seem unreal to ordinary observers. Another essential aspect behind the value of a rare 2012 D dime lies in the metal composition, because although the dime is composed of copper and nickel layered over each other, errors can occur during planchet preparation, and sometimes a dime might accidentally be struck on the wrong metal blank, such as a copper penny planchet, a silver dime planchet from leftover storage, or even a foreign coin blank. And these wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable in the world, because they represent accidental creations that defy standard minting rules. And when collectors find even slightly off-colored or off-weighted dimes, they rush to get them authenticated, because these errors can turn 10-cent pieces into treasures worth millions. So imagine if a 2012 D dime surface struck on a leftover silver planchet, or on a foreign nickel blank, or if the weight was drastically different from the expected 2.27 grams. This alone would make the coin not only rare but historically significant, and history adds value unlike anything else. Now picture another astonishing possibility: the missing clad layer error, where the dime loses its outer nickel covering, leaving one side copper-colored, creating a two-tone coin highly prized by collectors because it visually stands out immediately and is unmistakably an error that escaped the mint accidentally. And if such a coin combined with doubling, combined with a repunched mint mark, combined with any other anomaly, it would form a constellation of errors so rare that only one piece might exist. And when only one piece exists, its price escapes all reasonable boundaries, and collectors no longer discuss thousands or millions but hundreds of millions. And this is how the legend of the 2012 D dime worth $529 million enters our imagination, because when a coin carries multiple unique errors, it no longer remains a coin, it becomes a relic, a historical marvel, a once-in-centuries phenomenon, something that transcends its face value so dramatically that the world begins to chase it obsessively. But value is not only built from errors, it is built from stories, and the story of the 2012 D dime grows richer as collectors share observations about subtle die scratches, rotation errors, misalignment errors, weak strike anomalies, die deterioration, doubling, and rare instances where dies clashed without a planchet between them, creating ghostly outlines on the coin's surface. These clash marks form shapes of torches, letters, bands, and silhouettes that imprint themselves permanently on the coin, and some collectors believe that certain 2012 D dimes circulating today contain faint but unmistakable clash marks that remain undiscovered by the larger world. And whenever discoveries like this happen, my great coin lovers, now in the fourth and last history of this video, we begin another incredible journey into the world of hidden treasures lying quietly inside everyday pocket change. And I know you clicked on this video because the moment you saw the shocking number attached to the humble 1 dime Liberty 2017 P coin, your heart instantly jumped with curiosity, because how can a small 10-cent coin become a piece that collectors whisper about with almost unbelievable speculation, claiming that Under rare extreme minting error conditions, this very coin could reach a mind-melting value of $522 million, and today you and I are going to travel deeply into the hidden inner world of this coin, the year, the mint, the possibilities, the strange stories, the errors, the mistakes, and the unimaginable scenarios that could transform the simplest dime into one of the most legendary discoveries in modern numismatic history. So welcome, grab your seat, get comfortable, and prepare to enter a world where machines misfire, metal twists, history repeats, and treasures hide in plain sight, because after today, every single 2017 P dime you ever hold will feel different. And who knows, maybe one day you will be the person who finds the extraordinary piece everyone else has overlooked for years. The story begins with one of the most interesting moments in modern United States coinage, the year 2017, when for the first time in history the Philadelphia Mint added the letter P mint mark to the Roosevelt Dimes, something never done in more than half a century. The dime produced in Philadelphia had always been without a mint mark, but 2017 changed everything, because to celebrate the 225th anniversary of the U.S. Mint, officials decided to place the letter P on the dime. And the moment this happened, the entire numismatic community exploded with excitement, because whenever something changes in a long-established tradition, even a tiny detail such as a mint mark, possibilities for rare varieties and rare errors immediately open up, and collectors know that the first year of anything, the first edition, the first experiment, the first variation carries enormous potential value. So the 2017 P dime became a target for millions of collectors, scanning each coin for anything unusual, anything out of place, anything that could elevate it from ordinary to legendary. And now imagine the massive production inside the Philadelphia Mint in 2017, machines striking coins at blinding speed, thousands per minute, metal blanks flying into presses, dies slamming down with tremendous pressure, and as precise as these operations are, no mint in the world can achieve absolute perfection. And when perfection breaks, unusual things begin to happen, things that create extremely rare errors, things that create anomalies, and those anomalies become treasures, because collectors do not chase perfection, they chase imperfection, they chase mistakes, they chase the accidents that slip through unnoticed. And that is how some coins become worth not cents, not dollars, not thousands, not millions, but astronomical, impossible, dreamlike values when a single unique error makes it one of one in the entire world. Before going into extreme possibilities, let us understand why the 2017 P dime is already special even without errors. For the first and only time, this coin carries the new Philadelphia Mint mark, and first-year mint marks are almost always historically important because they become reference points in timelines of currency history, and whenever something is historical, collectors become hungry for variations, and this hunger is the fuel that ignites incredible values when the right combination of errors occurs. So this coin already holds the foundation for value. Now we explore how that value could explode into unimaginable territory. Imagine the first possible error, the doubled die obverse, where the hub and die imprint the design with slight misalignment, leaving doubled letters, doubled numbers, or doubled profile details. And although doubled dies are extremely rare in modern minting due to improved technology, they still occur, and when they do, they become instant collector sensations, especially if the doubling appears on the date 2017 or on the brand new mint mark. P collectors would lose their minds over a doubled first-year mint mark, because that is the kind of variety that turns into a once-in-a-lifetime prize, and if such a doubled die combined with other anomalies, the value would begin multiplying in ways no one expects. Now imagine the mint mark itself, because even though mint marks today are applied during the die making process, not manually, mistakes can still happen if the die suffers from microscopic distortions, metal fatigue, mechanical shifts, or engraving inconsistencies, and these can create what appears to be a repunched mint mark, or a shadow mint mark, or a distorted mint mark. And since 2017 was the first year the P mint mark ever appeared on a dime, any inconsistency with the mint mark becomes historically monumental, and collectors would treat such an error like a golden relic, because it would represent not only a mechanical mistake but the first and only year of a mint mark error on the dime, and that instantly becomes the foundation for stratospheric value. But now let us add more layers. Imagine the coin is off-center struck, creating a crescent of blank space on one side, a dramatic off-center strike with a visible date, and mint mark can soar in value. And if this happens on a first-year P dime, collectors would immediately know it is something that cannot and will not be repeated in future production, and rarity combined with historical significance forms the perfect environment for astronomical valuation. And then imagine that same coin also having doubling on the date, a distorted mint mark, and damaged die flow lines. This combination makes the coin transition from rare to impossible, and impossible is where the hundreds of millions speculation begins now. Move deeper into the minting process, and picture the planchet errors, the blank metal disc that becomes the coin. Sometimes these blanks fail, sometimes they bend, warp, crack, or are mismade in subtle ways, and if a dime is struck on a defective planchet, or worse, on the wrong metal entirely, such as a copper penny planchet, or an unexpected foreign blank, then the coin becomes a miracle discovered in circulation. Wrong planchet errors often fetch huge amounts in auctions because they represent pure accident, pure confusion, and pure improbability, and if one such planchet error occurred in the historic 2017 first-year P mint mark production, the value would instantly become extraordinary, especially if that coin also contained doubling or misalignment. The more rare the combination, the more explosive the value. But now imagine something even more dramatic. Imagine the dime missing one of its clad layers, leaving a copper side exposed and shining through. Collectors call this the missing clad layer error, and it instantly catches the eye because the coin looks completely different from every dime around it. And if a 2017 P dime with a missing layer were combined with doubling or mint mark anomalies or off-center strikes, the coin would become one of the most extreme modern errors ever discovered. Uniqueness means no comparable sales. Uniqueness means unpredictability. Uniqueness means prices break all limits, and this is how talk of values like $522 million begins. Because collectors know that once something becomes one of a kind, everything becomes possible. But this is only the beginning of our exploration, because the minting machines can malfunction in ways so strange that even the mint sometimes cannot fully explain them, such as the broad strike error, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread wider and flatter than usual, and unleashing a whole new shape that becomes highly collectible, especially when combined with other anomalies. And then the collar die can sometimes rotate or fail, creating coin rotation errors where flipping the coin reveals a misaligned reverse, and such rotation errors are extremely valuable when combined with historical first-year mint mark significance, and when combined with doubling or planchet defects, the value rises like a storm, gaining momentum with every detail. Now imagine another layer die clashes when the hammer die and anvil die strike each other without a planchet between them, creating ghost images of the reverse on the obverse and vice versa. These ghostly marks become legendary, particularly if the clash is clear and dramatic on a coin already considered historically important, and collectors will pay massive premiums for clash marks because they represent mint action frozen permanently in metal that escaped into circulation unnoticed. And now imagine one of those clash mark 2017 P dimes also carrying a distorted mint mark, doubling, missing clad layer, and off-center strike. This combination enters the realm that collectors describe not as rare but impossible, meaning that no other coin in the world could match it. And impossibility is the mother of extreme valuation, but the psychological layer is equally important, because collectors do not operate purely on logical calculations. They operate driven by passion, tension, excitement, history, and the thrill of owning something that no one else on the planet possesses.